Hey everyone, I'm Jack Macmillan, and welcome to a special episode of the Giant Blue channel, where we are sitting down with Sean Guy, author, releasing his new book, Malediction. And we're here to talk all about it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Thanks for having me. And it's kind of, we've done this before, but I'm not usually a guest.
Where did the idea for this book originate from?
The idea for the book originated from a true story about Shakespeare's Macbeth. When it was performed in one of the first performances, one of the actors died just before going on stage, and so there was this idea that it was cursed. And so throughout the last 400 years, every time Macbeth is performed, every time something bad has happened.
Maybe just give us a brief synopsis of what this book's about for people, to get people excited and interested in.
Sure. And basically it's a cursed play. So it's only been performed 8 times throughout history, and this is the 9th. And this troupe of actors have been asked by the Queen to perform it as a gift for her daughters, these beautiful princesses. And so everyone's a little bit nervous, but they're getting paid well, and so they've gone into this play, thinking it's the job of a lifetime, basically.
Yeah.
It's such a rare occurrence that this play will be performed. So they're all very excited, but there's also this knowledge, basically, that one of them will not see the final scene.
Yeah.
One of them will not make it through.
So you talked about there are a lot of characters in this book. What kind of audience are you appealing to, or trying to appeal to, with this novel?
Yeah, I wanted to have a lot of different characters in the book, so that it would appeal to a lot of people, but also so that it would be kind of realistic, I guess. So, they're not just, 10 males who are in their 20s sort of putting on this show. Like, it's a diverse cast. A lot of people who are familiar with Shakespeare will know that in Shakespearean times, women weren't actually allowed to act. So my novel is set sort of in the years following the overrule of that law. So there are women allowed to act, but it's basically the first time.
Oh, okay.
So you've got women who are, some young, some old, some men who are quite old, and some who are quite young, and they all bring something to the table. And the point of view, the perspective of the novel changes fairly rapidly between them. But because they all share scenes together, you don't really lose track of who's who. You might like the perspective of one character, and maybe the novel only has their perspective every 30 or 40 pages, but that character will show up in other people's perspectives, and that sort of dynamic of how the characters view each other and think of each other, that's sort of adds to the tension a little bit.
You really get inside their heads and gain unique perspectives on the whole plot.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really
because the
cool.
other thing I was worried about is if I had one protagonist in this novel, you would assume that they survived, and you wouldn't really commit too much. Whereas because there are a few characters, there's 8 point of view characters, and so you can go through the whole novel, expecting any one of them to die, no matter how close you get to them. No one's safe.
What was the writing process and editing process like? Did it take a long time?
Yeah, I started working on it probably about, I want to say 18 months ago, and I probably wrote the book in about 3 months. That's usually the turnaround. If you do 2,000 or 3,000 words a day, you can, because you want to write a book in a small amount of time, because otherwise you start forgetting the plot lines and the characters. And so I probably wrote the first draft in about 3 months, and then it's taken me the last year to edit, and in the last month or two I've been contacting the publishers, getting the cover designed by ePrint Darwin, which looks great.
Yeah, shout out. The cover's a really nice cover. I really like that.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
it's all local. It's published in Darwin as well.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's been really exciting for me. So, but yeah, it's a pretty long process, I guess. Well, when I say long, I mean this is the shortest one I've ever done in a way, because I've been writing for so long. This is actually the 13th novel I've ever finished.
Yeah.
But it's the first one that I've ever committed to and done the editing for and published.
What about this book really gave you the confidence to seek out and try and get it published and put it out there?
I thought this one was the most marketable, which is not to say that I think, I'm just trying to sell copies or anything. I mean, the other ones that I've written have been... I've been writing for a long time, pretty much my whole life, you know, writing short stories and things, even as a kid. And my technique has improved, basically, you know, throughout. So the first couple of novels I wrote, you know, they were sort of young adult novels. And that was when I was still at high school.
Yeah.
And that was
when
fun.
You were a young adult.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit messy, and they're a little bit, you know, they're missing things, elements that, you know, a novel needs. But they were a lot of fun, and I had a lot of my school friends actually read them and do book reports and things on them. So I even had other English teachers sort of giving me feedback.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, I've improved a lot since then. This is the best novel I've ever written. You know.
You heard it here.
Well, I mean, you can't get the others anyway. So.
Yeah. Out of the one that's out there,
Yeah.
No.
But, you know, I will look at some of my urban fantasy stuff is quite good. I've had a lot of people read them, not just family and friends, but, you know, a wider audience who have all...
Like me.
Yeah. Yeah, you did read one of them, I think, yeah. So, most people have said, oh, I really like that, and I have written 3 in that series, so I'm looking at if I can find a bit of time to edit them properly, you know, maybe next year I'll release that one.
It must be a nice feeling to call yourself a published author, finally.
It is. It is. I think I've always sort of thought of myself as a writer, but this is a whole new ball game. It's kind of surreal, you know. I've been working towards this pretty much my whole life.
I guess, did you find that having now the deadline helped? Because you've just been a ball of like stress the last like 2 weeks just editing.
Absolutely.
I
I keep telling people, because I've been working on this, you know, for the last year or so, but I had a holiday recently, you know, a couple of weeks off, and I thought, oh, I'll do some editing and, you know, I'll see how I go. And I got heaps of editing done in that 2 weeks, and I thought to myself, you know, if I commit to this sort of workload, I could probably have it out, you know, by Christmas, which is always a nice goal if you're publishing a book. So I committed to it, and I've you know, got all these deadlines, and it's been exciting, but it has just been there's no option. Like I've got to get it done. You know,
you've entered like crunch time where it is just. You're just trying to put as much effort in as you can until there is that deadline.
Exactly. I mean, I want it to be the best it can be, which is kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, I must have read this book about 10 times in the last 3 weeks. Like, and even now, a good thing is that I'm not sick of it. You know, I'm sort of sick of editing, but I'm not sick of reading it.
So I've read some of your work, some of like the urban fantasy stuff that you talked about, and what impressed me so much was just how well it flowed. Like just reading it, and the fact that I know someone that can write this well is just a good feeling, I think. Like,
thank you.
How far I got. Yeah, well, it surprised me because it wasn't completely finished, but reading through it, just how well it just was written and really flowed to the point where I got to the end of the chapter and I was like, I sort of wanted to know more. So I, for one, am really excited for this book to come out and really dive into it.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that, because I mean, the writing style, I mean, it's never going to win a Man Booker prize. You know, it's supposed to be a fun read. It's quite funny. You know, the plot is pretty quick moving. It'll always leave you wanting a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I've always said to everyone, you know, I think the plot is pretty much the most important part of a novel. You know, you want at this one, you know, the first half of the book sort of introduces you to the characters and you know, all these foreshadowing, you know, what could go wrong. And the second half of the book is just this race to the finish. You know, everything starts connecting. You know, it just hooks you in. Like, so I'm glad that, you know, you've enjoyed those. I hope everyone enjoys this one.
I hope everyone does too. When does the book launch?
8th of November is the book launch. Any day after that, the book will be available for sale from the Bookshop Darwin, or
that's in the mall.
Bookshop Darwin, Smith Street Mall. Give them a call, 8941-3489. Or like me on Facebook, my author page is just Sean Guy Author. It's pretty easy to find.
I'm excited, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
As your friend. That, like, this is like happening for you, and this is really cool. And yeah, I'm excited to pick up a copy of Malediction, the Cursed Play, out November 8th. 8th.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.